Welcome to the Howell Business Beat, your go-to source for the latest insights, success stories, and trends shaping the business community here in Livingston County. I'm Janelle Smith alongside my co-host, Dianne Samples.
Hello, everyone.
Each episode, we dive into the heartbeat of our local economy, connecting with entrepreneurs, leaders, and changemakers, driving growth and innovation. Today, we're so excited to be joined by Brad Tate, lead pastor at Agape City Church. Brad's passion for people, purpose, and community shines through in everything he does. Thanks so much for joining us today, Brad, and welcome.
It is an absolute honor to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. We always love to kick off each episode to give our guests an opportunity to share a little bit about your background, your journey, what led you to where you are now today.
Okay.
And nothing's off the table. So
There you go.
I could see it in your face.
There it is. I know, it's like, how far back do we go? So this is going to probably maybe be a little unique of a podcast because I'm not a businessman. I'm a pastor, and I'm a lead pastor of a church here in Howell, Michigan. And I've been in ministry since 2002. So I've been 23 years in ministry, and I was a youth pastor. I was a teaching pastor at a large mega church. And in 2022, I planted my own church in the town where I live, Howell, Michigan, and just started blessing this town with all of my heart and pointing a congregation of people towards blessing their community. And our goal as a church plant is to truly create a community where love leads. And so that's everything we're doing. And I got into this, long story short, I was the way I always say it politely was I was born into a lot of chaos. I met evil before I met God, and I knew real evil existed in this world. Not like, someone hurt my feelings or something, didn't go my way. Like true unconscionable evil, and I knew that existed. And if that existed, there has to be a counter to that. And I think early on in life, that's as a child, that put me on a journey for where is the good in this world? I met the bad. I want to go find the good. And through that journey, I found God. And through that journey, I found, Jesus Christ specifically. And then once I got out of the scripture where they say is like, he'll take you out of the muck and the mire and he'll put you on solid ground. And so like once I got on solid ground, man, I just knew like for the rest of my life, I just want to help other people get on solid ground. And so that's what started this journey of ministry work. And I've been doing it for 23 years, and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. I love hearing your story. I feel like each time I've heard it, it changes a little bit, or I pick up different things, or I hear different things. It's incredibly moving, and I find it fun that you don't see yourself as like a businessman, but what you are doing is really innovative. What you're doing is very entrepreneurial in nature. And I think when you look at entrepreneurs, they're wired a little bit differently. They don't set out to do the thing that they do to make money. They set out to do the thing they do to change the world. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you're doing, even in a small way, because it all starts here, right? It's that little ripple effect, right?
Yes.
So I love that you share that vision, and I think just shifting that perspective a little bit, we could maybe say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm starting to become more comfortable with that. I never thought of myself as an organizational leader. Mm-hmm. I just think of myself as a shepherd, a pastor, someone who just wants to help people get out of their own way. But I've been gifted with the ability to do that not just as an individual, but to inspire a team to do that in lockstep and to create a ministry, which is in the United States of America, the 501c3 church. And so so I do run a 501c3, and we have a large budget that we manage, and we have resources and staffing and all the things that every business owner goes through. I go through that as well, for sure.
Absolutely. And at the same time, just being an absolute and true blessing to our community. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about Agape City Church itself. You guys are still a rather young organization.
Yeah, we're still young and scrappy here. We started,
I love it.
There it is. We started in September of 2022. And we launched at our local middle school, Parker Middle School is where we meet. And so we started there, and with maybe like just shy of 500 people, 450, something like that, on like an average Sunday, which is, for most church plants, that's a great benchmark. Yeah,
that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. A lot of people to start off with.
People.
But I've lived in this community for a long time, and I started with a lot of trust, and so I think that's why we started so large. And we started in 2022, and our mission literally is, I think a lot of times churches they work against the community they're in. They think like, oh, like we want to get people from this community into our church. And they do it with a good heart because they want people to know Jesus or whatever. But like I started with the exact opposite mindset. I want to send this church out into this community and take the good that's already happening in this community and let's just take good to great. Because there's already so much good in Howell. I mean, we have great businesses. We have great community. We have a true downtown culture with the concerts and the Rock the Block and all of our parades and everything that the city does. Food Truck Tuesdays, my favorite Tuesdays in the summer. like everything we do, it's like we have a great community. I don't want to take anybody out of the community. I want to send more good people into that community and reinforce what's already good.
Yeah, no, I love that, and we've seen that. And so we talk about, kind of that infancy stage, and I think one of the things is that's so fun for us, and where we've been able to just kind of witness and, from the outside of this journey, but we got to play a small part of it in the very beginning with, so Agape City Church, they started and they were like our first organization business that was in our Livingston business hub. So you guys, it was your first office.
Yes, it was. I mean,
Offices.
Yeah. Well,
We
first
grew.
office, and then it
That's
grew
true.
to
We did,
offices.
yes.
And I love that story so much. It's so dear in my heart. I don't even remember how exactly it came to be.
I don't either.
So
I think it started with a conversation.
Yeah.
And you and I sat down and you were doing things and you were telling me about Agape City Church and what it meant to you, and you're telling me about different kinds of love because there's all of these you talk about them.
yeah,
You do
in the
well.
Greek. Yep.
So and then it kind of started evolving about like how you could have this impact on the community, and I was like, well, like where are you guys at? Like let's look at this office.
We're at the coffee shop around the corner. That's exactly where we officed out of. And I think I stopped by the office because I was going to join like some clubs in the community, and I was going to join the chamber, and I just stopped by just to get to know the president of the chamber and what you guys do in the community, and and the vision, whatever. And then like you guys had office for space, and you had the vision for the business hub. Like you guys had that vision,
and it was still in its infancy stages.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like both of our dreams just kind of like
converged,
and it was perfect. So I couldn't ask for a better location to start out of. Starting out the business hub there at the chamber office was, it was God ordained in my mind. It gave us immediate legitimacy in our community. It gave us professional resources, internet, copy machine, stamps, all stuff like that. Meeting spaces, spaces that do launch team gatherings out of and start ministries out of and start meetings out of. Like, that was, I don't know how it would have happened otherwise. Like that was like the absolute perfect scenario.
Well, and it's like you brought that vision to life of what we thought that the business hub would be, because you came in and it was all of a sudden it went from this quiet little office where, it was just us, Janelle and I and Donna, we were in there, and then you brought in your team and it was lively. And the ideas that were going back and forth and the meetings, and it was just everything like, this is that synergy. This is that energy we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you brought that to life with your group.
I think we had
your team.
Maybe we were like 3 to 6 months like in the coffee shop. I think we were with you all for like just over a year, maybe, or a year and a half, something like that.
It was about a year and a half.
And then we were able to secure 6,000 square foot office building in our town and have like our forever home with a downtown footprint there. And it was absolutely perfect. So if you're starting a business in Howell, look into the business hub. It's a good path.
It is. Well, we appreciate that. And I think too, for us, one of the pieces that is so rewarding is seeing it all come together, seeing it, as bittersweet as it is to, say goodbye and like, oh my gosh, they're on their next step of their journey. They're no longer going to be in our space, but we still get to see you. And what we get to see is your continued success and prosperity within our region and the impact that you're having, which is even more exciting.
Yeah.
And so we have this amazing opportunity to really witness this and be part of this journey for everybody that's in the Livingston Business Hub and the synergy that's created. So as bittersweet as those goodbyes can be, it's that journey that I think is the most meaningful piece of it all.
Absolutely.
So that's very exciting. So you guys are in your own building. You've got all of this amazing stuff going on. I know you. What else is going on at Agape?
Yes, we just so we have our office building downtown Howell, But obviously that's not large enough for us to do our Sunday morning worship service. We're running just shy of 800 people on a Sunday now. And so we still meet at Parker Middle School. We set up and tear down every single Sunday, and we load all this stuff out in trailers. And so we know as a congregation we need our forever home in Howell. And I believe, when you build a building, it communicates something. So I want to build a building that is a monument to the name of God in our town as well, and in the name of love. And so we just finished our capital campaign as a congregation, where just individuals said, with our tithes, our offerings, this is what we believe we can give the next 2 years to fund this. And we just finished a $3.6 million campaign. Wow. That's going to come in the next 24 months. And then we had a kind of, we call it First Fruit Sunday, which is like the Sunday where like people give the liquid dollars as much as they can up front of their pledges. And in this past Sunday, we did a First Fruit Sunday, and we had $750,000 come in 1 weekend.
I'm like getting goosebumps.
That's remarkable.
That's amazing.
It is so good.
It is. And congratulations. I mean, that is just, I think, a huge testament to you, your congregation, and this community. And I think a wonderful, first of all, I'm going to ask, so how did you do it?
So with church giving, I mean, so there's a fundamental aspect to church giving, because the Bible talks about tithes and offerings, and it talks about being generous, and it talks about that we own nothing and then God owns it all. So for a congregation, there is a fundamental aspect of obedience. So if this is our community and we want to love our community, we got to put our money where our mouth is. Mm-hmm. And so we have a great congregation that actually does that, and not just with capital campaigns. They do that in the way that we bless our town. So with this, there's a lot of people just already were bought in that they were going to do something. We did have an outside firm help us to organize communication and to organize the process to make sure it builds momentum towards a Commitment Sunday. And so we partnered with them, and then from there, it was just me saying the vision over and over again, answering people's questions, speaking to any fears that were coming up, and then showing people the vision of why we're doing what we're doing, which is not just to build a big building for us. It's to keep blessing this community.
A big part of that is it's not just saying over and over what the vision is, it's you're living the vision.
Yes.
You live your vision every single day.
Yes.
And your congregation sees it, and the entire community sees it. And I think that is where the power is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gifts are my love language. So I always go to, if I want to show love, I always kind of go to gifts. Mm-hmm. And so, at Agape City Church, we love the city of Howell. And so we want to give and support the city of Howell. We love Howell Public Schools, and we want to bless our public school system and encourage our good teachers to, not take early retirement and to stay in the fight, and because they mold the minds of a whole generation. Mm-hmm. And so we want them to be encouraged in what they do. So at the beginning of every school year that Agape City Church has existed, we write every high school teacher in our town a handwritten note, and we put a $100 bill in each of those notes. And we say, thank you for what you do in our community. And even when we started this capital campaign and we needed money to go buy land, to go buy whatever, we as a leadership team said, we're not going to stop doing the teacher thing. Mm-hmm. We're still doing that. It doesn't make sense to give money away when you're asking for more money to come in, but you talk about living out the vision. Mm-hmm. We're not doing this to get money. We're doing this to give more blessing. Mm-hmm. And so we're not going to stop blessing while the resources are coming.
Right. And I love that. And I was going to ask, so can you expand on blessings? And you have. And I think one of the things that I want to ask then next is why this community? What is, in you or drew you to, and I know you said you've lived here for a long time, but just thinking about that, how is this community different, or, maybe it's not? I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, why this community? The simple answer really is because I live here. I believe when Jesus says the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. I take that so seriously. I love the people who live in the house to the left of me and to the right of me. I love this town. And why is Howell getting all this blessing, through Agape City? Because I live here, and I'm going to be a blessing wherever I am. Mm-hmm. And this is the town my daughters were born in. This is the town that gave me a home. And this is the town that, if I can use anything in me to be a blessing to others, this is where it happens first. Mm-hmm. And now the overflow of how the world will get whatever it gets left over from me. But I and my team are going to bless this town till it cannot stand it anymore.
And I think that's exactly something that I'm going to dive a little deeper into and just ask just a step further, like, what would you say to somebody who hasn't been to Howell, and was thinking about maybe visiting or maybe not,
It is great. Now, I'll say this, like, I was born in a small town. I was born in Seymour, Indiana, literally the home of John Cougar Mellencamp. It's the small town that the song was written about, So I was born in the small town. I've lived in inner city Cincinnati. I lived in inner city Louisville. I've lived in the rural country, 55 acres of land in the middle of nowhere. So I feel like I've felt small town life, city life, and rural life. I am wired for small town life. I'm wired for neighborly people, waves and eye contact and high trust. So, and I find all of that in Howell, and I love every aspect of that. What's wild to me, because I wasn't born in Howell, I've been here for 20 years now, but when I first moved here, being a person of color, and I'd go to, Detroit or, Dearborn or wherever, and, I'm hanging out with someone, and they're like, hey, where you live? And I'm like, I live in Howell. And their face just drops. And they're like, are you safe? They're
Right.
genuinely worried about my safety, because there's this reputation from a knucklehead from a long time ago. But I can assure you, no one has called me out of my name in Howell. No one's disrespected my daughters in this community. And I've only found this community to be welcoming and to everybody. And so that's what I tell people is it's a great community. Mm-hmm. And genuinely, people love one another and look after one another, and everybody's safe here. They really are. Mm-hmm. There's people who don't feel like they're safe, and I try to talk to them, and either they're holding on to a past and they can't see the present. I'll give you an example, and I'll give you an example. You talk about loving our city and blessing our city. Mm-hmm. I'm serious about it, and that's what I'm doing. People are starting to notice, and I don't ask for these things, but our state representative was given an accommodation to a handful of people who've done civic-minded things for our community, and I was one of the recipients. I was honored to be one of the recipients, and so here I am on the courthouse lawn of Howell, Michigan, getting an award from our state representative for being a man of good civic duty in our community. And then right across the walkway from me is a protest group saying that our town, the most disgusting things about our town.
I was there.
And being vulgar and cussing and all these things. When the award ceremony was done, I went over to talk to them in peace and in love. Mm-hmm. And the question I asked them is, you just saw a person of color get recognized by the government on the courthouse lawn, and you saw a crowd of people applauding and cheering and saying, yes, and you perceive that as racist. what would you need to see to believe that this is a good town? They literally could not articulate one positive thought. They just said, you don't know what it was like back then. I'm like, you're right, I don't. I know what it's like today, and it's a good town today, and I'm here. And we all take care of one another and love one another today. Their fear is stopping them from seeing it, and I don't blame them. I don't.
Right, it's a valid fear.
Yeah, Jesus says, look at them as sheep without shepherd. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. They're afraid. And I just want them to know that they're safe. And we have a great community of true neighborly love.
Right. Yeah, no, a great story. I appreciate you sharing that and your perspective. And I know that those are challenging waters to navigate, and it's
I'm fine with it.
good. I was like, I had a feeling you would be.
Yeah.
We had our Livingston Athena event on Monday.
Okay.
And our keynote speaker, one thing that really resonated with me was that feelings are not facts. And it's so hard to differentiate that and to set that apart and to take a step back and realize that, okay, maybe you're feeling these things. And not, that can pertain to anything. This was in the context of like self-worth and taking that reflection and realizing that those feelings are not facts. But it's really, really hard to step back and be able to differentiate that and look at it from a perspective of fact versus feeling. It's difficult to do.
It is so hard to do. Human beings are just these flesh balls of emotion that's just all tied up together. But when you really slow down and you reason things out, you realize, A, we don't control much of what's going on. And then 2, you realize, that most people are having a personal experience inside of themselves and they're projecting that out onto everybody else. And so most people are living by their own feelings. And if they don't feel safe, then they will hit someone preemptively thinking that, well, you were going to hit me first, so I had to hit you.
Right.
And that's all because of your feeling you just assaulted someone, you know? And so we just got to get to, this outside, get people outside of themselves.
Well, and you're making that impact right here within your congregation, within our community, and truly being a blessing. So one other thing I just wanted to mention really quick, as you're speaking of blessings, we did something pretty cool this year. And this was your idea, but the Blessings of Balloon Fest grounds and a celebration service. So I didn't know if you wanted to just talk a little bit about that and kind of, what the future of that might look like.
Absolutely. This is one of my, I say proudest, but I mean that in the most humble way. No, I mean, of the achievements Agape City Church has done, yes, this was a dream, and to see this dream come to realization has been so fulfilling. But basically, our town has a hot air balloon festival, which is one of the largest in our country. I think that there's one out in Arizona or something like that, but that's lame. Ours is the best one.
I'll take it.
There you go.
We'll take it.
And then over the course of a weekend, tens of thousands of people come through our town, and our town really rallies behind this event every single year. It's the biggest thing we do. And so, I noticed, on Sunday morning, when churches are happening, just the Balloon Fest grounds are they're not popping yet. They're not popping yet.
Not yet.
And so, and I'm like, again, could we do things with the community? And so I came to you all with the idea, could we do a blessing service, and not just for Agape City Church, for all the churches in Howell to come and to worship the Sunday morning at Balloon Fest, so we all come together. John 17, in the Bible, Jesus prays for the church, and his prayer is not that it would be big, it's not that it would be safe, it's not that it would be in power. His prayer is that the church would be one, that it would be united. And when I will drive up and down streets and I see this denomination and that denomination and this building and that building and this building and that building, I don't see a lot of oneness. And so how can we, if that's what Jesus prayed for, and that's what he really wants, how can we give him that, And so this dream started to me, what if one Sunday a year, all the churches in Howell, we closed our doors and we all came out in public and we worshiped together. And then I was like, and why don't we do it at Balloon Fest? Because it's already here. It's the biggest thing and everything. So I came to you with this wild idea, and I was like, I don't know if this will work or not, but this is the dream. And you guys were crazy enough to go along with it this year, and we were able to do it, and it was so good.
It was
So
special.
good. Yeah.
It was so good, and it was a great way to start a Sunday morning, and with the balloons and the people gathering,
Yes.
and just so much goodness all the way around.
And I love the win-win. Like, I mean, Jesus got what he wanted, the glory from the worship service. We as a church community, we got to see one another from different congregations that we don't normally see. And then the city got a just whole influx of people into Balloon Fest, like first thing Sunday morning, ready to go get an elephant ear right after church.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. No, we love it, and we're excited to see that grow and keep that momentum going.
100%. Mark your calendars next year. Any churches in Howell, Michigan, we're going to be there.
All right. We love it. Well, I think we're going to just kind of wrap up today, Brad. You've shared so much with us, and I love always hearing your wisdom and insights and all of the wonderful things that you're doing and your congregation is doing in this community. I mean, truly the impact that you're making today is just driving forward an incredible vision for our entire community. So thank you. Keep it up, and we can't wait to see what's on the horizon.
Sounds great.
Absolutely.
All right. Tune in next time for the Howell Business Beat.